This finale is no longer just about stopping Homelander. It is about deciding what kind of world deserves to exist after him. Because after episode 7, the fight changed completely. Frenchie's death did not just hurt the team, it turned this war personal for everyone still standing. And now, the boys' finale has to answer the biggest question the show has ever asked. Not, can Homelander be beaten, but what survives if he is. Hey, what's up everyone? Come back to Breakdown Epic. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Now, heading into the final episode, I think the story is setting up a much darker and more emotional ending than people may be expecting. Yes, the big surface question is how to stop Homelander now that V1 appears to have worked. But underneath that, the real tension is about what Butcher becomes, what Ryan chooses, and whether defeating one monster simply creates another. Let's start with Kimiko, because right now she may be the most important wildcard in the entire finale. After taking in that massive amount of radiation energy, the show is clearly pointing us toward one major theory. Kimiko may now be able to do something close to what Soldier Boy could do, strip V from a soup's body. And if that is true, then she becomes the closest thing the boys have to a real answer against an immortal Homelander. That is what makes her so important.
The Deep is another possibility, because he is isolated, humiliated, and clearly no longer protected by Homelander in any meaningful way. And honestly, the idea of the Deep accidentally helping create the final anti-Homelander alliance is exactly the kind of pathetic irony this show loves. If Soldier Boy comes back, then the finale suddenly becomes much more interesting, not because he saves the day like some hero, but because his power could combine with Kimiko's in a way that finally makes Homelander beatable. And that is where the Oval Office theory comes in. I absolutely think there is a good chance the final battle happens there. The symbolism is too perfect. Homelander has turned America into his own kingdom. He has taken the office. He has fused power, fear, and worship into one grotesque system. So if he falls, he should fall in the very place where he crowned himself above everyone else. And honestly, Homelander using the Oval Office like his personal living room is one of the most cursed visuals this show has ever given us. Now, if Homelander does lose his powers, then the emotional center of the finale becomes Butcher. This is where I think the show separates itself from the comics in the best possible way.
The source material takes one path, but the series has clearly spent years building this toward a more personal confrontation between Butcher and Homelander. That is the rivalry at the heart of the show. That is the emotional engine. So if Homelander is finally reduced to an ordinary man, terrified, powerless, and stripped of the image that protected him, then Butcher gets exactly what he has wanted for years. Not just revenge, but proof. Proof that underneath everything, Homelander was always weak. In my opinion, that is the most satisfying possible version of the ending. Not Homelander dying mid-fight as some unstoppable force. Homelander being forced to feel fear first, to look around and realize nobody worships him now, nobody is saving him, nobody loves him. Then Butcher standing over him, seeing the real man under the myth. That would hit so much harder. Now Ryan is the other major piece here, because the finale almost has to use him in some big emotional way. There is a very real chance Homelander could end up begging him for mercy if the tables turn. And if that happens, it completely flips the father-son dynamic that has defined so much of the season. Homelander has spent years demanding loyalty and love through power. Imagine him reduced to asking for it when he has none left. That kind of scene could define the ending.
But then we get to the really dark possibility. What if Homelander is only the first half of the finale? Because I still think Butcher is capable of doing something terrible after the main battle is won. He has said for years that the world would be better without soups, and if Homelander falls, that may not calm him down. It may free him. He could decide to release the virus anyway and finish what he always believed was the real mission. That is why Butcher might still be the most dangerous person in the finale. And if that happens, the ending stops being about good versus evil. It becomes about whether the people left alive can stop Butcher from becoming the final monster of the story.
Now, there is also the possibility that a small number of characters survive because of stable V1 knowledge. Sister Sage understanding the compound matters here. That could leave behind a small group, Kimiko, Starlight, maybe Ryan, maybe Sage herself, while the rest of the soup world gets wiped out. That would be bleak, but it would also fit the tone of the series. And then there is the deep. Look, I do not think this man is getting a heroic exit. Not a chance. If he dies in the ocean, rejected by the creatures he spent years pretending to love, that would be perfect. If Starlight gets the kill instead, honestly, also fair. The show has spent too long proving he is irredeemable to suddenly make him noble at the end. So where do I land on all of this? I think the finale gives us a temporary anti-Homelander alliance. I think Kimiko and possibly Soldier Boy are the key to making him mortal. I think the final emotional payoff belongs to Butcher and Ryan. And I think the last real question is whether defeating Homelander saves the world or simply hands it over to Butcher's worst instincts. That is why this finale has so much pressure on it, because ending the war is not the same thing as fixing what the war created. But anyway, that is my breakdown of the biggest theories heading into The Boys Season 5 finale. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments. Do you think Homelander dies as a god or lives just long enough to become the weak, powerless man Butcher always knew was underneath? I will catch you in the next one.